I am Niti Dave. Today is the second day of our presentation. My presentation topic is hybridity in midnight children. Hybridity is a simple meaning that the sense of mixture and the Gujarati we call it the word Sanskarta. This is my personal information introduction. The ways in which the novelist Salman Rushdie advocates a hybrid world, a world in which different and heterogeneity are not only tolerated but are eagerly celebrated as the means the culture newness in 21st century. Instantaneous communications of global economics and increasing migration of people across continue have a distinctly established old view of the formation of cultural identity. Salman Rushdie argued for a hybridity of culture, arranging that in the today's post-colonial, postmodern world, no one can or should try to retain a singular identity. In fact, he affirmed living between East and West or embrace the hybrid mixture of India is a positive thing, one which bring about newness of in the India. About the author, one of the most celebrated writers of our time, Salman Rushdie. Salman Rushdie is the author of 10 previous novels, Grimm's Midnight Children, for which he won the Booker Prize in 1981, the Booker of Bookers in 1993, and in 2008, the Best of the Booker. Salman Rushdie's other work like The Satanic Verse, uh, Heron of the Sea of Stories, the woods large sing, the ground of beneath her feet, furry Shalimar and Cloud, and the endlessness of Florence. He has also published four works of non-fiction, a collection of short stories and edited to fiction anthologies. In June 2007, Rushdie was appointed a Knight Bachelor by Queen Elizabeth II for service to literature. In May 2008, he was elected to the American Academy of Arts and Letters, and also in 2008, the London Times ranked Rushdie's 13 of their list of the 15 greatest British writers since 1945. Rushdie is currently working on the film version of Midnight Children. What is hybridity? Hybridity has historical roots in the legacy of colonial science. It has had a significant effect of cultural theory and post-colonial theory. However, its meaning has shifted over time. Hybridity is the mixture of religions, culture, and race. Hybridity has been used the author in the social science, literary, artistic, and cultural studies, a decision process in which the discrete social practice or structure that excited in separate ways combine to generate new structure, object, and practice in which the presenting elements are mixed. The use of hybridity in the humanities and the social science has been questioned due to biological origin of the concept. Particularly influence here has been the work of Mikhail Bakhtin, a pioneer linguist who theorized the political effect on hybridity in the language theorists of the hybridity. These are the Homi Bhabha, Nestor Garcia, Stuart Hall, Gayatri Spivak, Paul Gilroy, and Salman Rushdie. Homi Bhabha concept of hybridity. One of the most widely employed and the most disputed terms in post-colonial theory, hybridity commonly referred to the creation of new transcultural forms within the contact zone produced by colonization. Hybridizations take many forms like linguistic, culture, political, racial, and etc. The terms hybridity has been most recently associated with the work of Hobike Bhabha, who analyzed the colonizer relations, trace their interdependence, the mutual construction of their subjectivities, in Bhabha contends that all cultures sentence, and systems are connected in the space that he called the third phase of enunciations. Cultural identity always emerges in the contradictory in ambivalent space, which for Baba makes the claim to a higher racial purity of cultural untenable for the recognition of this ambivalent space of cultural identity may help us to overcome the exoticism of cultural diversity in favor of recognitions of an improving hybridity within which cultural difference may operate. It is a significant that the productive complicities of the third speech have a colonial or a post-colonial provenance for a willingness to distance into their alien territory may opens the way of conceptualizing an international culture based not the exoticism of multiculturalism of the diversity of culture, but one of the inspiration of articulation of culture hybridity. Hybridity is a category of identity. Part of the challenge to define the this persona of hybridity is a conceptions of the terms itself. Hybridity is also difficult to use in an analytic lens or principles because it is often assumed to be inherently positive and productive. Hybridity in Midnight Children, the novel's social and cultural hybridizations illusions through the multiple of different characters. In the X stroke of midnight, August 15, 1947, Salim Sinai was born, a twin of the newly independent nation of India. The novel aligns Salim's narrative to the narrative of a newly independent India, creating an allegorical reading of his character. Midnight Children, importance and significant as a post-colonial text, arise from the novel's ability to intertwine three major themes: the creation of telling of story, the creation of the telling of a nation's and individual identity is a creation and telling of story. The novel expresses these themes of the creation and telling of history, identity, and story while simultaneously introducing the problem of post-colonial identity through connected and dependent form of hybridity. The term hybridity becomes defined as the combination and mixing of multiple screamingly opposing elements is a manner that maintains the various elements and characteristics. Midnight Children remain the embodiment of hybridity because every aspect of the novel is embedded with this mixing and melding the various elements and characteristics. The novel employs different levels of hybridizations is depending on each and other to exit the work within the text throughout which the novel illustrates India's emerging of post-coloniality. The novel employs the formal technique of magic realism. A hybrid or realism is a supernatural thought, myth, and historical event, and thus the represent the ordinary events alongside fantastic elements. Midnight Children, inherently connected levels of hybridity, work together to the form of new picture of the India as the nation becomes a post-colonial land. Example of Midnight Children. We find the hybridity in Midnight Children. These culture or religions device are clearly highlighted through the Salim's relationship with Shiva and Parvati. Salim's relationship with Shiva remains complicated because of the nature of their birth and relations. And those characters, we can say that religious are and cultural hybridity is present in India. Critical and fictive theorizations of hybridity, Bhabha's industries. We find this both author is say about his view of hybridity. The culture theorizations of hybridity most commonly associated with Rushdie and his fictions are Baba. Uh, Samim Blake is in fiction across the borders, imagine of the lives of others in the late 20th century novel, notes that her project in devoted to the influential discoveries of hybridity symbolized by such theorists and novelists Homi Bhabha and Salman Rushdie. She said implies the inherent similarities of Bhabha critical theorizations of hybridity with Rushdie's fictions one. Crucially, these apparent similarities suggest that contemporary power of Rushdie's fictions with regard his inscriptions of hybridity. Bhabha's work is often lauded for exposing the influence of system of power and mapping alternative within those systems. Bhabha is the foremost theorist of hybridity who measured contributions in the idea that the intercultural space where hybridity identities of former space of in between and remain stationary the same, the power to expose the inherent flow of the dominant cultural, political, and social system of the West might then be assigned to the hybridity theorized the Rushdie's work. Finally, the hybrid might carry implied of fertility and heterosexuality connotations that there are rooted in the initial colonization used to the term of that might exclude other possibility of what means to be hybrid. Indeed, the hybridity of the Rushdie's persona is defined through reference to Rushdie's children like those above certainly carries these implications. To conclude, the idea that newness can come into the world through the hybridity of the nations, the individual person, the language and use, the narrative of history throughout his collected work. In Midnight Children's, Rushdie's work to create a new way of viewing the history and of our nations, of our people, ones which allow room to diversity in a heterogeneity. And finally, Rushdie's use a unique Indianized from the English throughout his three foundation novels in order of questions to the established hierarchy of standard English over personal hybrid form of the language. This is my website.
So, Nidhi, my question is: can Midnight Children make the same impact if we remove hybridity, the element hybridity from the novel?
Yes, we seen in the Midnight Children which character of Salim, Shiva, and Parvati, and we connected. We connected that they all are connected each other, so we can impact. We can say that yes, this is definitely impact of Midnight Children can make remove the hybridity.